God.
Hold on for a
Hey,
second.
Jen, how you doing?
I'll be right back.
Mike Epps didn't.
Hey,
Hey, Jen, how you doing?
I'm tired.
Me too. I think it's just the way it's going right now.
No, I just had a death in the family, so I'm tired,
Oh,
tired.
sorry.
I wish it was just the way it was going, but it's been a long, long day.
So is Josh ready for the snow?
Oh, that's why I was calling you. If you need help, he said, let him know.
I need help.
Okay. Well, he said, just let him know. He said, because he said he ain't trying to pick up. He been so busy repairing the snow blowers and stuff. He ain't really trying to get people, but if you need some help, let him know.
Well, you know what? That's interesting because if he doesn't mind, he could take, you guys are in Lansing. He could take he could take some of the customers I have in Lansing, you know.
Okay. I'll let him know. Josh. Hold on. Josh. Fitz.
I'll reach out to him. Listen, you know, we almost like streaming on other channels. Okay.
I didn't know we were live. Why are we live so early?
Listen, I got on because I like to see the lighting and see where I like to see how my background and everything look, because my graphic design team really hasn't done anything to make my screen look more, you know.
You know what? I've been in Texas, Georgia, North Carolina, and I'm back here right now. And yes, I'm about to get back on it. Just give me, can I get 2 weeks off? Y'all trying to break me. I need 2 weeks off. I like the whole goatee thing though. I'm about to tell you, I like that.
You like that? That's that grown man.
You got the silver fox thing going for you. That's
you know what? I'm trying. They better look out, world. Look out, world. But listen, what I'm thinking, Jen, is that I'd like to get the subscribers, and we're talking live, right? But I do want this year, in the new year, I want to make certain that we grow this platform, right? Because there's too many things happening in the Southland area.
I'm starting a whole new network. I'm starting a network, so I'm gonna merge all of my brands on one network, and so that way everybody can get amplified. Because I realize, like, I have the most followings out of everybody, and I think my following right now is close to, with all my brands and stuff, is like close to 500,000 people. Okay. So I want to get it all like solidified under one brand, where it's like, hey, this is Adam Winston on this. You know what I'm saying? And the network is, I think we named it NNW network. So we're gonna get it solidified all on one network. So that way, when it's boom, 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 you know.
Well, my hope is that I definitely, if people, you know, it's so interesting, and I'm no shade on anybody, because I appreciate, you know, Kendra G and all of these different people who have their different platforms. That's fantastic. But when it comes to local, just everyday things that are happening in the Southland area, especially, there's really no place where you can get that information.
No, I know. That's why I said we're gonna try to bring it all together in one house and make it uniform, so that way everybody can be like, hey, not just the Southland, but even when I was talking to you about and I was talking to Jeff Coleman today about it too, right? There's no news.
How's he doing?
Good. He's doing really good. But there's no news for Black men. So just talk about Black men topics. And I was talking to my cousin, and I was talking to Jeff, and I've been saying this, like, my cousin was talking about tithing, right, at church. And he's like, I'm not against tithing, right? He's like, I'm actually for giving my money to people that actually need it, if they actually need it. But he said to him, he was like, with the tithing situation, he was like, they expect Black males to tithe at a certain percentage. But he was also saying Black males are not working at that percentage.
Yeah, but
so he's like, you like, give me 20%, give me 10%. He was like, but 10 or 20% of what though? Because if I'm not making a living wage, how am I supposed to tie back into my community, period?
Well, you know, that's so weird, because I was thinking my end of the year show. So my end of the year, my review. And I definitely want to get some people on here. I think it was a young lady, you know, after this guy Twitch committed suicide. I need to reach out to that young lady.
The mental health lady that was on here.
Yeah, and I want her to come on, and I want her to talk about those things, but I want her to talk about it through the lens of men, especially Black men. And
well, Early was talking about it, right? So Early Walker was talking about it on his page. And I've been saying this for a long time. I've been posting on 3WF about not just Black men, but in the Black community in general. Mental health gets so overlooked. You had I can't remember what that sister was, but she was like Miss USA or something like that, and she jumped from one of the skyscrapers in New York.
I remember that. Yeah.
And this is
Seemed
what I'm
like
saying.
she had everything going on.
She was a lawyer, everything.
Yeah.
She was drop dead gorgeous, and she jumped. And I'm just like, there's something that we need to talk about in the Black community that nobody wants to talk about. And it's the fact that the Black community puts this stigma when you say, I need help. What are you told? I don't know. You good?
Right. Well, you know what? And I think that there definitely needs to be more discussion. And again, I think that we're on the right track. I think that we haven't fanned the here on TA Conversation, and that's what I want to do. I really want to poke the bear in the year to come, because if people can get all excited about it, listen, again, I don't have any shade. I have no shade on some of these platforms, but when I look at TikTok and some of this stuff, it's all the same. This platform gives people an opportunity to get smarter by being engaged with people that are doing things in their communities all over. So now we just need to bring it in and spend a little bit more time. And that's my hope.
I mean, and we need to talk about national issues too in the Black community, right?
National issues. I don't think we leave it. I don't think we leave it. None of those issues. All of them are relevant, and they are impactful, and they affect us all. And I think that we have to touch base with all of those.
I just had to tell a lady about Planned Parenthood, and she was talking about how Planned Parenthood, came into the Black community, and I had to let her know. And she was like, the Democrats and Planned Parenthood. And I was just like, Planned Parenthood was started by the Republicans, right? And she was like, no, it was. I was like, yeah, it was. It was started by the Republicans. And I was like, it was started by a bunch of progressives, matter of fact. And that's what I had to let her know. And I said, I'm like, we get stuff so convoluted in America that we think it's always just black and white and
it's not
Republic, and it's not. I said, what happened is that I said during Nixon it switched.
Absolutely.
I said, and Nixon was that's when you had it switched. And I said, LBJ even said, hey, if I pass the civil rights movement, I'm gonna lose the South for a generation. He didn't know it was gonna be 2 generations, but and we're going into the 3rd generation right now of Southern, Southern style politics. And I said, what we're really looking at right now is the fact that you have a conservative group and you have a progressive group, right? And then the thing of the matter is that in America that we're not talking about is that 41% of the country is independents. They don't care if you're Democrat or Republican. They don't care if you're progressive or conservative. They like the middle of the road politics.
But Jen, and so I used to be, I've been around for a minute, so I didn't went through this whole Republican phase to independent phase, and I don't mind independent. DeAndre, we're gonna do it, so don't think that I see you out there. Welcome to TA Conversation. We're just before we start the show at 7:00, we just kind of kick it a little bit, and we're gonna kick it tonight anyway because you're our special guest, and I'm looking forward to learning more about you and your run. But Jen, when I used to hanging in that Republican space, one of the things that I realized is that part of the reason why I was in that Republican space is because I own the grocery stores, right? And it just seemed like I was getting better breaks business-wise dealing with people that were more on the selfish side. I'm just going to say that, okay? They were a little bit more about their money instead of how this is going to affect everybody's money, right? And as I grew and I matured, I kind of toyed around with the independence, and I don't mind claiming independence, but is that kind of like voting? I abstain, right? Can you be?
No, you know what? When I did the poll recently, recently when I do those polls, right? And I've been looking at the polls and stuff like that because I had to for work. I had to track everything. But when I was talking about it, the issues for most people are not black and white.
But what I'm saying is, but aren't they? Because Jen,
they're not, because listen, they.
Well, hold on before you give me that, okay? Because I was going somewhere with that because I didn't think that they were black and white either, and I don't want to intellectualize every issue. But you either are for women's rights or you aren't.
Right. Okay. So we can go with that, right?
So if I'm an independent, what am I going to say? I'm for women's rights, but
No. So here's the thing, right? Most independents are, when you start talking to them about specific issues, you have to look at it like that. You call them women's rights, right? But then they'll say, no, I'm for human rights.
Well, human rights.
So,
but see, you can go down, that's a slippery slope. But I'm just saying that I think that here's my criticism of those who call themselves independents because they don't want to take a side. I feel like independent people are people who don't want to take a side on they're not rooted in their opinion, right? And their lack of being rooted in their opinion, they don't want to argue it, they don't want to debate it. So they kind of coast in this little in-between line so they don't have to debate their position. Now,
but listen, Adam, this is the thing. Mm-hmm. The Democrats are anti-guns, right? You have independents that are for guns, right? But they're also for abortion. So now you're going to ask them who to vote for.
Well, I don't think the issue is about anti-gun for most Democrats. I think that Democrats want some controls around those who own the guns. So I don't think.
But listen, I've been listening to both sides, right?
Yeah.
And the Republicans have a valid point when they say, "Hey, look at cities like Chicago, right, who have some of the toughest and most strictest gun laws in the country, and guess what? Gun violence is up higher than ever
because of the Republicans, places like Indiana." Where they're smart.
No, but listen. But then they go to Indiana, right? And you go to Indiana, right?
Yeah.
And listen, I'm not saying right or wrong because you know me, I'm on the left. But you go to Indiana, and guess what? Their numbers are not up.
Well, because there's nothing to do in Indiana, so they come to places like. Chicago.
Listen, they have a valid point because also I look at Canada, right? And Canada doesn't have any gun restrictions like we have.
Well, they just have 5 people that got shot yesterday, right?
No, I know, but listen, they don't have the gun restrictions that we have. They have less crime per capita than we have, right? Mm-hmm. And so I look at stuff like that and I start to think, right? Do we really have a gun issue in America? Right. And I've been saying this for a while now. Is it really a gun issue, or is it how we approach an issue? Right. Or is it an economic issue, or is it a combination of how we approach it with the economic issue? Right. And I think for as far as like Cook County is concerned, it's the economic issue. Right. Because I look at where the gun violence is taking place. And it's not taking place everywhere in Cook County. And this goes to what Bruce Rauner and them are saying on the right, is that it's not happening everywhere in Cook County. It's only happening in certain neighborhoods, right? So what makes those neighborhoods have more violence than the neighborhoods that have less violence? And then when you start looking at it, if you start going into detail, it's not a gun violent issue in the first place. And it always boils down to a couple of things. It's a lack of education in those neighborhoods, and it's a lack of economic opportunity in those neighborhoods.
Well, but that goes to the argument, Greg. I think what was the guy's name? But Dick Gregory, I think he says he hates when people say black on black crimes got to stop. Crimes got to stop. So I think and he's to his point. He's absolutely right. I don't think that it's a gun issue, okay, per se. I think that there are symptoms. There are too many people and too much access, just easy access for anyone to have guns. And I don't think.
To your point, I can go to Cabela's right now in Indiana and get a gun for like $150.
But guess what? You ain't gonna do nothing. There's no downtown like Chicago in Indiana. There's no. You got to go to Indianapolis, right?
Well, no, I mean, Indianapolis has that. But see, here's the thing. Indianapolis crime rate is lower than Chicago's. But the reason why it's lower than Chicago. Well, no, it's not. I'm talking about per capita. I'm talking about if you compare them per capita, it's lower. But the reason why it's lower, though, because guess how much it costs to live in Indianapolis?
I think that's a tough call. I'm looking at the fact that we have in the Cook County area, you almost have 7 million people. And I'm not.
No, but Adam, I don't even care about that. The reason why crime is lower in Indiana, though, is because it's cheaper to live in Indiana and it's more jobs in Indiana.
Nothing to do in Indiana. Don't nobody.
But no, I'm just saying it's more. Listen, my friend lives in Indianapolis, by Indianapolis, right? He has a 2-bedroom apartment, right? But listen, he has a 2-bedroom apartment with 2 bathrooms in there, right? It's huge. It's almost 1,000 square feet, and he's only paying $900 a month for that. I can't find that in Chicago. I can't even find that nowhere in the Chicagoland area. But listen, that's the difference. Our stuff is just way more expensive than them.
I think that people are going to find for. I think people are going to look for a prosthetic. Anytime you want to do a crime, people are going to look for a prosthetic.
Well, no, I think it's not even that. I think what's happening here is, guess what? We need, and I've been saying this for years, and I continue to say this. We need a living wage in Cook County. Cook County just needs to issue a living wage countywide and include the city of Chicago in it. They need to get Chicago to do a referendum, and the Cook County commissioners need to sit on the board and say, listen, Cook County now as a whole entire county has a living wage. If you can't pay the living wage here, you can't do business here.
Yeah.
And make corporations like Walmart and Amazon and the Targets and the McDonald's and the Burger King. If that's all them box stores that want to come up in here and knock out all the mom and pop businesses, we for it. But guess what? Right. Now you got to pay a living wage. And I think once you do that and institute a living wage, because people always say like, oh, well, why is somebody at McDonald's making $25 an hour? Well, let me just say this. Back in the 1960s, that's the equivalent of what they would have been making right now.
Right.
And nobody had no problem with it.
Yeah. Listen, they don't even say thank you when you go to McDonald's. If you just join.
Listen, I don't care what they say at McDonald's. Let me just say this. If you can stand up on your feet all day, I don't even care. I keep telling people this. If you can stand up on your feet and cook all damn day for people and flip them burgers on that hot kitchen all day, I'm like, I don't know too many of us that want to barbecue all damn day every day. I know I don't.
You chose this life. Listen.
Exactly, but listen, we chose to eat there too. So if you don't want to eat there, that's what I'm saying. But if you don't want to eat there, then you know what I'm saying? Then don't eat there.
Somebody's got to do those jobs. And again, I think that we make too many excuses. The people who are working at McDonald's, you don't have to be there. You can go to another job.
Right, hey, but here's the problem, right? We say that, right? And then
wait a minute, Jen. Time out. Welcome to Tea and Conversation. If you are just joining, Jen is always my special host guest. She's always on here, and we go back and forth. But I want to make certain that we let our audience know we are live on YouTube, and we're also live on Facebook. You can join the conversation, look at the link, subscribe to the YouTube page. I could use those subscribers to get those numbers up. We have a special guest tonight at the End Conversation. I'm Trustee Adam Winston. Welcome to the show. It is the week before Christmas. So Christmas is next Monday. And I don't know, I told everybody this year that if you are the only gifts that I'm giving out this year, DeAndre, are positive affirmations. DeAndre, you are amazing. Welcome to Tea and Conversation.
Thank you. How did you know? I appreciate it. Thank y'all for having me. Hey, I was sitting there just vibing out to the conversation. Like, I like what they talking about on here.
That's right. This is what we do.
I like being able to be around people with different trains of thoughts. That's how you grow. So DeAndre, I mean, before you get into your telling us who you are, do you think that the only reason why we have some of the challenges that we have in the city of Chicago is because the cost of living is too high? It's mostly an economic issue. It may not have to do with the cost of living, but it does have a lot to do with the wages. I mean, these young brothers that's doing this, they'll tell you, and I'm not there on the streets, I do organize, and they'll tell you, you know, they can't go anywhere and get the type of money that they can make in 5 to 10, 20 minutes, a couple hours that they're in a regulated environment, so to speak, in a traditional job setting. And then sometimes it's boring. You know what I mean? So It has a lot to do with economics. And I don't know about the cost of living, but the economics, the hood of Chicago is terrible. It's destroyed. There's nowhere to work. There's nothing, and it looks terrible. So yeah, it's economic.
Hold on, Jen. I want to stay right there because Jen, you brought this up. Now I'm thinking about this, okay? From Detroit, okay? I'm from Detroit area. I've been here in Chicago almost 17 years. I'm great to be a adoptee of the city of the state of Illinois, right? But my thoughts are this, okay? I think to your point that it's more about the boredom. on the streets of Detroit, many of the people that I knew that were indulging back then, used to be the crack. I don't know where the hell. DeAndre, where all the crack houses go? I don't know where they went. What it is, closed up when meth came along, like they just closed up. It's went out of business. But that's another story for another day. But what I'm saying is, people that sell some of these illegal substances, right? Are they really making that much money? If you look at the amount of stress, the amount of time that it takes them to stand on the street corner for that, for the profit that they share in those drugs, is it really a profitable business model? I think in many cases they would probably make more money flipping them burgers.
But hold on, Adam. This is what I was saying. I wasn't saying that it was just that, right? I'm saying this, right? If you go to let's just say you go to Gresham, right? There's no schools, there's no grocery stores, there's no medical facilities, there's no nothing there. There's just crack houses there, right? And that's what you have.
No real.
There's no community. There's no community centers. Let's not even say there's no community centers. There's no nothing there. That's why I said it's an economic situation, and that's why I say if you start paying people, and I said this about Harvey, and this is what I was saying about them complaining about building that facility in Homewood. Harvey's average salary right now for a family of four is $34,000 a year. So let's just round it up and say it's a clean $35,000, right? If you pay a mom and dad in that same community now $45,000 each, you just bump that family salary up to almost 3 times the amount that they were making in 1 year. You want to see crime rate go down?
But do you think that salary would? How do you feel? People, and I'm just going to be honest, people are still going to pick and choose.
They're not, though, because they've proven that. And let me just tell you, your city proved that. Detroit proved that, right? When they started putting better jobs in Detroit and giving people better opportunities, the crime rate in those neighborhoods started to go down. We need to do the same thing. Well, Flint is a whole nother story. I'm talking about the D. When they started building, I can't remember, what is it called? The Eastern Market. When they built up the Eastern Market in Detroit, that whole neighborhood crime rate dropped. Why? Because people went,
Jen,
they went to go get jobs.
I know about the Eastern Market because I own the grocery stores and I lived at the Eastern Market. The reason
no, I'm talking about when they just rebuilt it in 2020.
But the crime decreased at the Eastern Market because there ain't no houses. I use the double negative.
No, Adam, did you see what they have? No, you have to go there now, right? So what they did is something really dope that they did. So you know how Eastern Market is like this, right? It goes across, but they went up, and these houses now, people are written the stuff up off the top of it.
Right.
Yeah, so
because
it's not.
That's the cool area.
But that's what I'm saying. But listen, we need to start making Gresham the cool area. We need to start rebuilding Harvey up and making Harvey the cool area. And I'm saying them neighborhoods for a reason, right? Austin needs to become the cool area again. You have people like David Moore that's really trying to build up places like that, but it's only one David Moore out there, right? We need like 20 David Moores.
Yes. Well, today we don't have David Moore. We got DeAndre on here, and he's who he is. He is going to introduce him. You know what we do on this show on every Monday at 7 o'clock, DeAndre, is it's a casual conversation, because even though you may be a candidate running for office, in order for our people to understand and kind of get a perspective, they need to see how you handle some of these, some of yourself and some of these particular questions. So it is a casual, more setting. So just to kick it off, I appreciate you just jumping in and being a good sport about it. Tell us who you are. Tell us what you're doing, what you're up to. It's your moment, DeAndre.
All right, got you. Thank you so much. First, did you mention Alderman David Moore? Is that who she mentioned?
Yes.
Ask one of my good buddies. You know what I mean? Ask Alderman David Moore about DeAndre Rudis. Yes, sir. So, all right. So DeAndre Rudis, I'm from the Austin community of the west side of Chicago. I lived there. I grew up there for about since I was 8 years old, and I have a huge affinity for community. I always tell a story of my life started out by being adopted. My mom was heavy into the streets. She needed help raising my twin brother and I. And the matriarch of the Jones family, Annie Jones, took my brother and I in. It wasn't a traditional adoption. It was just community helping community. And she raised us for the first 8 years of our life. I grew up on 119th and Stewart. Wild Hunnits, so I have a real duality about myself. My grandma made sure that she stayed in my ear even after we started living back with our mother, so much so to the point that last week I just completed my last assignment for my doctoral program. I have my dissertation in process, so I'll be walking across the stage in July. So I'll be Dr. Rudis the next time you see me
Oh,
When I walk through, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. So right now, what I currently do is I serve the city of Chicago by way of helping to establish better relationship between Chicago police and community. I work for New York University School of Law. I work for what's called the Policing Project. So what I do is in districts 11, 15, and 25 of the city of Chicago, I go through and as I mentioned, build relationships with community and police, but it's a certain type of officer. These are called district coordination officers. Their role is to be off radio about 30% of the time on shift. And in community, that's how we build real engagement, but they help solve reoccurring issues in communities. And so that's the work that I do currently. And
so where is DeAndre? Tell me where those districts are located. I mean, you kicked out the numbers. I think you said 11, 15,
and 25. I mean, so those districts themselves are kind of spaced out. But the 15th district, which is where I'm actually running for district council, and we'll get into that in a bit, that is just Austin. That covers the Austin community. That goes pretty much from Roosevelt to Division, Austin to Cicero. That's Austin. The 25th district covers about the northern part of Austin. So where the 15th stops at Division, the 25th starts, so it's Division North, and that covers Montclair, Belmont, Cragen, that northern part of Austin that I mentioned. Where's the L? I'm losing it. Humboldt Park, Logan Square. That's the one I'm trying to think of. Logan Square, and then the 11th covers Garfield Park, East and West, and a little part of Lawndale. So I work in those three districts, and I cover them with community members trying to build these relationships. Also, I try to find resources that could be useful for those officers and community members that need them.
That's fantastic. So I guess, and pardon me. So for just to clear up a couple of things, said a few things that are near and dear to my heart. For starters, I was adopted. I got adopted at 8.
I bet, yeah.
Gonna make you that makes you real special with me. And then secondly is I am an elected official, so I'm an elected official as well as a host on Mondays on this Monday program. But one of the things that I'm interested in knowing is more about this particular position.
Yeah.
So why don't we hear about these particular type of positions?
So new position, very new. So new, in fact, that the ordinance that created this position, as well as the commission, was passed July 2021 in the city of Chicago. What it does is this particular position, the district councils, it gives community members elected representation from their community to be the voice as it relates to police accountability. We already have a lot going on in the regard of policing in Chicago, so it's not something that they're pushing, because I mean there's just a lot going on in the regard, right? Like we in recent history, we've took away the no foot chases, we've took away no knock warrants, and so now you've established a community commission that will be a part of the police board decisions, COPA decisions, selecting the superintendent. Never in history has Chicago had that. And then even now on the very community level, you have individuals that'll be able to, there's going to be 3 of us selected for this particular position. You're going to have 3 community members that are going to be able to go out throughout the community and talk directly to the community about issues of policing and figure out what policy needs to be instituted so that those issues are no longer issues. And this has never happened to the city of Chicago. And so nobody wants to talk about it because, again, it's going to potentially, create more bad attention towards the Chicago police because, and rightfully so, they do enough themselves. They create enough bad press, but this is one that they don't really want to focus on at the moment. But once it happens, we will be installed in May. There's nothing they're going to be able to do about it, but we're going to have to figure out how this thing going to work. So.
Okay. So, and thank you again for that, because my ears and everything are jumping up, and I'm taking questions from people on Facebook and so on and so forth. So for starters, this is an elected position.
It is an elected position
that was created. It lasts for how many years? And is there any compensation? Who created this office? Like, where is it a part of the police?
Yeah.
Is it need more?
Okay, so it is an elected position. The position itself lasts for 4 years. There's going to be 3 community members selected. Each community member will have a different role on the council. You will have the chairman, you will have the organizer, and you will have the nominating person. And as it states, the chairman will probably chair the meetings, probably set the agendas, things like that. You'll have the organizer whose job will be to recruit individuals, keep them in the know, make sure feedback is coming in as it relates to the job we're doing from the community. And then you'll have the nominating individual whose role is to review resumes and do interviews so that we can send people from the community to the commission. That was created with this particular ordinance, again, that passed in July 2021. This ordinance, which is called Empowering Communities for Public Safety, is essentially the joining of 2 different groups, CPAC, which was the Civilian Police Accountability Council, and GAPA, the Grassroots Alliance for Police Accountability. These 2 groups had a certain legislation, and they thought that their way of police accountability was the right way. So they were at odds for a bit. It wasn't until Mayor Lightfoot ran and she said that she was a police reformer, and they wanted to make sure they held her to that these 2 groups was like, look, in order to get this passed, we got to come together. So they came together, got with the mayor, went through every part of the legislation, and they came up with what we have now. Everything that they fought for wasn't had, but they got everything that they fought for. In the words of Frank Chapman, who spearheaded this thing. And essentially this was started in like 2012 when Rakia Boyd was killed. But the most famous thing that really helped push this through was the Laquan McDonald murder. Right. So it started then in 2012, but it really gained traction because obviously Laquan McDonald, as well as George Floyd, that really pushed the need for community-led accountability of Chicago, of police in general. But that movement that we saw all across this country really was the fuel to get this passed. So I think that answered all the questions that you had.
I think so, but I mean, the questions are
$500. There you go. The last part, stipend. It is a stipend position. Individuals that are on the council are stipend at $500 a month.
Okay. And again, I want to thank you for coming on TN Conversation. One of the things that, and I know for a minute I was working alongside of, I was sitting in on some meetings. I'm always inquisitive, but I went to some of these COPA meetings. This is before Lori Lightfoot. Actually, I think Lori Lightfoot came out of there, but she wasn't at the time. It must have been in any event. One of the things that I identified while I was sitting in that meeting is it seems like many of the things are not legal. It's the policy makers that are really controlling what is acceptable and unacceptable by police. What do you think about that? Is it more policy related issues, or do you think that is more legal related issues, or people not understanding the law as it relates to the policies? What is your thinking on that?
I mean, it's a little bit of both. You know what I mean? I mean, education is the greatest tool. They can't take it away from us. I do believe our communities could be more educated on the policies that are in place. But at the same time, though, the law protects the officers. Qualified immunity is something that everybody, I think, would like to go away, because then that may give officers cause to pause and to make better decisions, especially if they know that they're no longer protected legally and our city won't be coming out their pockets to fund all of these murders that are happening. Like, we lose a lot of tax dollars because they do some of the most ignorant killings that you've ever seen. And if they didn't have that lawful protection, then maybe they wouldn't do it. But I do also believe that we could do ourselves some justice by going ahead and understanding the policies that are in place. We could, so it's both.
Okay. All right. Well, if you're just joining, welcome to TN Conversation. Jen, it seems like you got a lot of questions. What you got to say? I can see it in your eyes, Jen. I know.
No, I mean, I find this brother really dope, and he sounds really enlightened. I mean, and the stuff that he's talking about. So I guess my question for you, I'm gonna call you the good doctor since you say you're a doctor now anyway. So how do you envision, because this is a new board, how do you envision implementing those changes that we desperately need in our communities. I literally just posted a couple of days ago that like Black lives still matter even if it's not on your timeline anymore. So how do you plan on implementing those changes from the movement? I mean, I was one of the first people to lead a Black Lives Matter protest in the country. I was this close with Hammond, Indiana Police Department over them arresting young Black boys and girls that were young as 4 and 5, telling me that they were jaywalking.
That's crazy.
So how do you plan on implementing those changes that we desperately need so I can stop taking myself out there and getting that close to the police?
Well, so this is a work in progress, right? I'm gonna be completely honest with you. This is still being built. I'm sure behind the scenes, people are having these conversations, like, what are we going to do? How, when this gets enacted, what is this going to look like? As I mentioned, there's going to be 3 of us. So it's going to take the complexity of the 3 individuals, because each district, the 22 districts of Chicago will have 3 representations. So it's going to be 66 new elected officials, all different personality, all different politics, some FOP, some Black Lives Matter, some squarely in the middle. So it's like, what does that mean for all of the cities? Because they all going to be different. So for me, it's more or less like, number one, we're gonna have to figure out how we work together as a team. And then, and like at least one of the things that I've thought about doing is like listening tours, right? Like, what does policing look like in our community? What are some of the issues you've had? I can tell you right now in the Austin community, we have very poor response times as it relates to calls for service. When they come, if they come, you know what I mean? Sometimes they don't respond in the right way. You know, it could be a mental health disturbance, but they come guns out. Even if you told them this is a mental health disturbance, right? So we got to figure out, okay, what does that look like for our community? How can we solve issues like that? When there are calls for service and they don't show up, there's no follow-up. Like, how do we solve issues for that? And that looks drastically different in the Austin community than it does up in Ravenswood. You know, so they're going to have a different set of issues. So the question becomes, how do we get enough feedback from community members and their participation in this process? Because we're going to represent them. We're going to be their elected officials, but we just like any other elected, we got to get them involved. We got to have them having our backs when we go up there and say, this is the particular policy or legislation that we think is necessary for this particular issue. Right? Like one of my boys sent me a message and he was just saying, we don't have enough we have more brown individuals starting to be hired in the police department, but definitely not enough black that represent our communities, right? So that's an issue. How do we figure that out? To be honest, we have no idea because it's too new. So it's going to take a lot of us just chilling back, listening and learning, and then trying to figure it out. So
I got a question about your response time that you said. How do you guys measure that response time, right? And then also like the doc program, can you explain that too?
You said with the response time?
How do you measure it? How do you measure the response time?
That's a good question. So in the Austin community, we had I don't know how they do it, but what I do know is that in the Austin community, we had there was a FOIA request for that information. One of the community-based organizations, I believe it was SANA, the South Austin Neighborhood Association, filed suit with the city, suggesting that we were getting our times for calls for service were a lot slower than it is up north. And they won that suit because they had the FOIA to get that information. Based off me calling the office of OEMC, what I know is when you get a call, it could be, let's just say if it's a minor disturbance, especially because we have so much attrition in the city now, you're not going to get an officer right away because they're going to be answering higher level priority calls. But that doesn't exist in places like up north. The possibility is because they are not answering calls that involve a whole lot of shootings, carjackings, and things like that we experience down south. But the fact of the matter remains, when it comes to them servicing our community, the response time is much slower than it would be in other places. If I will find that information and I'll send it to you, but otherwise, that's how I know. And then the second part you said was what? The second question you had.
The DOC program.
The
DLC.
DOC?
The DLC program.
DOC. What is that?
Never mind.
The DOC program, right? Is that the
the DOC program? If you don't know what it is, never mind.
No, I've never heard of. You got to educate me. Tell me what it is.
It's about the documentary program. It's a film documentary program in Chicago, and I was going to actually explain how that would work with this program. But if you don't know, it's okay.
Heard of that. I need to be educated. You gotta.
Me too, because I went to see the rapper. DeAndre, I also I have one question. I'm going to get to you, Miss Smith. I'll get right to you. But one of the questions that I have, somebody text me, if there's one initiative that you would like to see during your tenure, what would it be?
One initiative?
Yes. And you can come back to it if you don't have an answer.
Well, no. So for me, all right. So the work that I currently do, right? I'm all about building community. Like I say, my story starts out that way, community. If nothing else, I want to see the community and police both understand each other a little more, right? So I have this idea that I'm in that position to educate, inform, and organize the community around police accountability. But at the same time, I'm also a proponent of building community with people that you may be against. I think it's very necessary. And so what I would like to do is be able to see the more community-based presence of Chicago officers and the people and those that they serve knowing exactly who they are. And then the other thing, if this is an issue with the community, which I think it possibly could be, is I want to see more officers that work in the neighborhood live in those same neighborhoods. We've got to stop having these people that are from Timbuktu in Austin because they don't understand the lay of the land. The culture is totally different. And at minimum, if nothing else, I would like to see more people that serve the community live in the community so they can actually build community.
And DeAndre, to your point, I'd like to not only see that with police officers, but with pastors of churches too. Miss Smith, you got your hand up. You got the floor.
Hi, I just had a comment. Isn't this kind of model, DeAndre? Because you know me, this is Zerlina.
Hey, Zerlina, I saw you
with the DLC program, because it sounds like the same initiative that was for volunteer. So when you talk about the police, remember we had this same conversation.
Oh, you mean DCO, the DCO program. Okay.
And what does that really look like when you talk about police living in a neighborhood? Because we do know I married an officer who lives, on the south end of the ward, which I do. And when you look at police living in the community and also working when you have such high violence in the Austin community, when you think about the 15 police cars that we have assigned per shift, because that's why the timeline is down. When Eddie Johnson said, what police officer will live in a community that he has to work in, which means he's going to lock people up and put his family at risk. So how do you think you're going to persuade officers to apply for jobs, which they apparently don't want because we have a low number and African Americans especially applying for these positions, let alone coming to the 15th district or the 11th district. The 25th district is highly overstaffed, but that's because of the areas that it serves, because it's the biggest district.
And to your point, Ms. Zerlina, thank you for that. But do police officers would they be less likely to arrest a person if they know if it's their friend and they live in that particular community? That would be my another question to add on to that.
We have a number of police officers that work in the same communities that they live in. Like off the top of my head, I could think of recently promoted Lieutenant Harris, right? He lives in Lawndale, works in the Lawndale area 4, so he was all over Austin and some of the other places. But that's just but one that I could think of off the top of my head. I don't know many. But what I also realize is that,
but remember, he worked in 15. He never worked in Lawndale where he lived. Now he's in area 4. That's still not Lawndale.
Yeah, so area and I know area 4 covers Lawndale, 11, 15, and 10. So he at this point he doesn't arrest people. So there's that, right? Like he's a lieutenant, so he's a supervisor. He ain't doing no arresting. And so I received that, and I also understand too that they are constantly changing positions. So even if they did come in, live in Austin and work in 15, if they get an opportunity where and it calls for them to work in the 3rd district, they're gonna take it. So I will say that that's a difficult ask, and that makes sense that it'll be a little bit more difficult for them to lock up people because if I was an officer, speaking as a person, I would hate for anybody to target my family because they felt like I locked them up.
And that would be a concern of mine too.
Yeah, I would very much so be very concerned about that. I do think that having the reason why I say that is I think having officers that have a community connection gives an opportunity for that conversation that we had, because when I was a kid, we still had it where they knew the family. So they was like, hey man, look, take your ass home or we're gonna have to take you home for you. You know what I mean? It's like it was one or the other, and we've gotten away from that, and so it may not be the best solution, right? And it may just be temporary, but I do think it helps to change the narrative. Like all police officers aren't bad, so we're not doing it for that reason, but we are doing it to hold the ones that are bad accountable. You know what I'm saying? So we got to figure it out.
So DeAndre, just to be clear, and again, I appreciate you coming on TA Conversation. And if you're out there and if you got more questions, please, you can ping me. I know I'm looking at my phone. I'm looking at all the different platforms. And I'm trying to narrow down your questions as we go. But DeAndre, just to recap, this position you report to, who does this position report to, for starters?
Yeah, so we would report to the commission. The commission was also created with the ordinance. So we at the district council is at the very community level. So we'll be doing all the grunt work, so to speak. The commission are the policy advocates that are the next level above us. So those individuals, they sit in with the meetings with the police board, with COPA. They can hire the superintendent. They can even talk about the policing budget. They could do a few things in the regard of policy making decisions that we can't. And so for us, we would be essentially right under them. So whatever our thoughts are in the communities in general goes up to them. And that hopefully helps to shape policy moving forward. So we report to them.
And I have a question, Adam.
Go ahead.
So here's my thing. Y'all out here, and that's what I'm saying. And this goes back to, I guess, like the whole documentary film making thing, right? That put a lot of this stuff, like, like Vice and all them other people that put this on the map. How are you guys going to convince? Because like some of us are hardcore activists, right? And I work in politics, but I'm still a hardcore activist, right? How do y'all coordinate all of that? Like, how do you get us on board with this and be like, hey, y'all, we talking to the police and, this is going to be documented this way. So that way we feel like some kind of, you know what I'm saying, engagement to this, because this still sounds more like more bureaucracy than it does anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, unfortunately it's political, and it's going to be bureaucratic. I ain't gonna lie about that.
DeAndre, is the commission, are they elected too?
The commission is nominated. So again, one of the positions on the district council is
by who though? Okay, wait, who is the commission? Okay, wait, let's start.
Maybe we need to start there.
wait. Okay, so let me just do this. Okay, so this is Mayor Lightfoot right here, right? And then under Mayor Lightfoot is who, and then under who, and then where do you go?
Back to Lori Lightfoot.
Wait, say it again. So you got Mayor Lightfoot at the top, and then
okay. Right. So how do you fall? Where do you fall in that? Mayor Lightfoot's at the top. Where do you fall at on that chart? Is what I'm asking.
We all at the bottom. We on the ground level. So okay.
Okay, so who? Yeah, can you just explain going down like
okay,
Mary Lightfoot, this, so we can get it.
So all right, what they did was they created the community commission and the district councils with the particular ordinance that was created. And the community commission is made up of 7 appointed representatives from the different parts of the city. So you're going to have 2 from the west side, 2 from the north side, 2 from the south side, and 1 citywide person. With the district now, that we have an interim commission in place right now. This interim commission, the city council reviewed the resumes and interviewed these individuals. I think out of 50 people, they sent 14 applicants up to the mayor to review. She chose 7 of them. That is how the process will work moving forward now that the district councils are instituted. Each district council will have 1 person that is a nominating person. That nominating person will read the resumes and interview the people that want to move up to the commission level. They can send as many people up to the mayor as they want to, and she gets to decide who she wants to put on that commission. The thing is, she cannot choose who goes on the commission. She can veto everybody if she doesn't like them, but the people that gets to decide who's on a community commission will be the district council members that have that particular position. So the people ultimately will be selected from the people on the ground level.
Okay, so how much does the commission job pay?
That job, I think, is and I don't know for sure. I want to say it's $1,000 stipend.
Okay. So here's my problem with this whole thing. It just sounds, again, it sounds like more bureaucracy. Like, it doesn't sound like it's going to solve
It
any.
sounds like a hot mess. Let's be honest, Jen.
I know. Well, I'm being nice about it, right? Because I'm trying.
That's why I'm being honest with y'all. I'm saying, look, we don't know. We don't know. Like, at the end of the day,
listen.
Zelina, what are you thinking about all this? Am I making this up? I mean, my feelings alone?
You don't want me to interrupt your show.
You don't.
I love my brother on there. We've been out doing, work on the west side. I'm a little more older than him. I support the police because of the crime and the violence that's going on in our community. At the end of the day, we can help and assist the police, but with the things that are going on, we can't police our own community at this point in time. So it's, to me, this whole process right here just looks like something that they reinvented through another, what was it, DCO program, and they decided to make people feel like they wanted a buy-in, because I was one of the first DCOs on an initiative in the city of Chicago when it came here from LA and all over the country to get the community to engage with the police officers, where we knocked on doors. So it's the same thing, but then it's still a puppet master, which is the mayor and CPD, who's gonna appoint the commission. And if you go on the website, those jobs can range anywhere from $56,000 to $98,000 a year for the commission. They're making just as much as aldermen. And you're gonna pay the individuals to organize the community $500 a month stipends. And they're gonna report back to you and do all the grunt work, but they can't hire or fire police officers. So it sounds like a food show to me, and it's just people who
it sounds like smoke and mirrors, and it just sounds like.
Wait, hold on for 1 second. Zelina kept saying something, and DeAndre said it too, and so did you, Adam, right? Y'all all three said something important, though, right? If the police's job is to serve, right? Because that's their only job, really, at the end of the day, is to serve the people in the community. Why are the police just not being held to that level of just, you need to do your damn job and serve? Because that's the first part of their job, is to serve and protect. Like, the protect part is and protect. It's not protect and serve. It's to serve first and protect.
But honestly, like DeAndre stated, I'm not anti-police. When you think about initiatives that I advocate and I do my activism for, it's about those one individuals, those bad cops who won't protect and serve. But when you look at what the models of what we've done in 15, 12, and 11 with those pop-ups, the faith-based leadership that sits on those communities, committees that these police districts already have. It's just, to me, like, how many more committees are you going to create just to give out money when you have a high homeless rate in the Austin community, well, across the city? It's just so many other things. And when you look at the smoke and mirrors, the only people still benefit is the policymakers, not the actual people that we're going to elect.
Well,
that was my whole point. So when are we going to hold the police? I mean, at the end of the day, I like, you know what I'm saying? I like bureaucracy. I work in politics. I like bureaucracy. I think it's cool, right? Whatever. It gives people good jobs and stuff like that. But when is somebody going to literally hold the police just accountable? I mean, like, why are we not using what they use in the UK and all these other countries to actually hold these people accountable? You can't do a crime in the UK without being caught on camera.
Of course, but then that goes back to DeAndre and then when they implement and writing policies, you know, how do we make sure that the body cams are working? How do we make sure that
that's what I'm talking about?
You know, how do we make sure with him running for that position that across the city in most districts that there's only 15 cars? How do you advocate for more police cars so you can have an accurate call time? Fix some of them cars sitting in the city pound or on the court parking lot, you know, to make sure that we have those things. When you look at the serve and protect.
Zelina, hold on for 1 second. You said there's only 15 cars patrolling a community in Chicago?
Mm-hmm. And we learned that when we were at the BCO, that it's 15 cars per district.
He just said some of the district, and see, this is why I don't understand this thing. But he just said some of the districts are mega districts.
But it goes by those patrols number. They have a formula, correct, DeAndre?
No, that's what she just said. She's saying it's 15, Adam. So if you live in a huge district or a small district,
is that based on the formula?
On the formula right now, I think what we were looking at even 4 years ago, DeAndre, 25 is one of the biggest districts in the city of Chicago.
Maybe number 1 and number 2. Yeah.
So, and they only had like 14 working cars when we were doing our pop-ups and stuff.
And still that way. And it's still that way.
So, you know, and that's why the call time is so horrible.
Well, Adam, that's what I was saying. So if you live in one of them super districts, right, they only got 15 cars for that super district compared to if you live in a small district. And let's just say, I don't know a small district, but let's say small district was number 1 and she's talking about number 25. So small district number 1 might have like half or a fourth of that size of the super district, and they got the same amount of police cars. That don't make no sense.
What they do is divert cars from the nearest station to whatever scene that they need them for. That goes back to the detectives as well for homicide who investigate those murders. You know, do we still have 5 or 7 of them? Have they hired for those positions? Those are the things when I vote for you, because I'm gonna vote for you because you're my brother. That you know. That we get more homicide detectives, more detectives to solve these crimes in our community.
Right. I do want to say that this, again, we got to look at it for what it is too. This legislation was essentially the best that they could do, the two groups, because Mayor Lightfoot ran as a police reform. That is the reason why she got elected to the office. Everybody that was in and around the Laquan McDonald situation, they lost their jobs, except for Ron, who decided to step down so he wouldn't have it on his jacket. So as her run was coming up, she said, and this is how I feel about the situation, not a knock on her or you know who she is, but I just feel like it was more or less like, I got to give these people a bond. I didn't stick to a lot of the things that I said that I would accomplish as mayor. And that's not to take away from the things that she did, but she didn't stick to a lot of the things that she said that she was going to do as a mayor. So one of the things, and again, running as a police reformer, they held their feet to the fire. This whole empowering communities for public safety. I mean, not only were they marching out in front of her home, they was over there in front of Tyler Farrell's office, who is who's over public safety. So they was all in front of his office trying to make it happen. So these people was like, no, you're going to give us something, you know? So
you help organize that. Stop laughing.
Huh?
You help organize that. Stop laughing.
Listen, I was a supporter of CPAC. When I ran in 2019, I was a strong supporter of CPAC, Civilian Police Accountability Council. I believe that we needed civilians to be able to hold the Chicago police accountable. Again, still don't know what that looks like, to be completely honest with you, because we this is the first time this has happened. There are other models in other cities, but this is Chicago. No city is like Chicago, so we got to figure it out, because politically this city is so corrupt that these positions in and of themselves, people like the FOP and others have started to try to hijack some of these positions and get in these seats, and they're paying a lot of money for it. And you also got to think that elected peoples have also been trying to get their people in there because they want them, and they look at this as a step in the door. You know what I'm saying? So it's really difficult to determine what this is going to look like. And the reason why it may seem incomplete is because I do think they just had to give us something, again, the mayor and even the alderman Taliaferro, because the people were pounding on their doors. And at some point it's like, okay, we got to make something happen. You know what I mean? So we're here, you know, and it's not complete, but this is what we got to work with. We are the foundation. And we're just going to try to put the best foot forward. I would love to have the conversations with the activists that are staunchly anti-police, because we got to hear from them if we're ever going to get this thing right, because they know what needs to happen as well as other people that support the police.
Well, listen, I'm down to have that conversation with you, because
Zerlina, your hands up. Go ahead.
You got to also remember, and I'm piggybacking off DeAndre, when they protested on the alderman's office, it was only two people out there from the Austin community that actually can vote for him. All those other people came from Oak Park. When you look at because you know I do drive-bys in my own community. When you look at what it looks like when you say activists who are out here who's anti-police, you know, when we did numbers, because I'm a numbers person, I'm in politics, grassroots, I started a lot of organizations, built them from the ground up. When you look at numbers, most individuals that are anti-police don't even live in the city of Chicago. When you look at the numbers, they're not homeowners in the city of Chicago. When you look at the numbers, they are, as we call them, criminals, you know, career criminals. So when you think about what this really does look like, and I'll give you a call tomorrow and we can have an offline conversation. Think about those babies that are constantly getting shot and killed. You know, when you want to have a conversation and you say anti-police, I'm anti-police, I'm pro-police, I'm for whatever for that moment. Because if my child gets shot, I'm calling the police. I'm not calling the activists. If you getting $500 a month and you're not advocating and organizing in my community, we elect you in, we can elect you out. But make damn sure that everybody should be held accountable moving forward, because Mayor Lightford, what she has done in our community, which look at the new Sankofa Center, she's done some things that the others have not done. So giving us this pond for this police accountability thing, that's been something that CPAC has been working on since 1998, and they finally got it. You know, so
DeAndre, what does success look like, DeAndre? What does success look like? How do we measure it?
Well, Adam, hold on for a second. I want to say
no. Hold on, DeAndre, go ahead.
Go ahead, DeAndre.
What does success look like? That's a good question right there. I think again, you got to look at the makeup of the team, and you got to figure out what we like. For me, success looks like driving down crime. God knows I ain't got no answer for that. Like I said, I really believe it's economically driven. But when I talk about driving down crime, I'm talking about being able to be so connected with all of the resources that we have available, whether it's police or otherwise, that community members know exactly where they need to go for the help that they need, right? So, and I want to speak to the work that I currently do, because Zerlina talked about like the DCOs and that program that we started. So I've been a part of the program with NYU since 2018, and I came on as an employee in 2021. And that's when I started leading the different districts that I mentioned, 11, 15, and 25. And so, you know, I get I talk to a lot of community members about their recurrent issues, whether it's the drug house on the block, or somebody that has a mental health issue, or somebody that needs a job, a mother that needs resources for her children, like all type of different issues. And a lot of these, you know, they may not be sources or direct sources of violence for the community, but at some point they lead to. And so for me, I would like to be able to connect people to the resources that they need. So in having those listening tours, let's just say hypothetically somebody says the issue where public safety is most affected, yeah, it's police, but it's also in the fact that we never see police in schools having direct conversations with kids. I don't know if that matters, right? But I'm just saying, what if we hear that? I would like to be able to respond to that so kids can see police if they want to see. Now, I know that that may not be the case, but still, right? If somebody says the issue is that mental health is a challenge, and then that the police show up, and most of the time they got guns drawn, they're not coming out. What we have? I think they call CIT, Crisis Intervention Team, CIT units. Yeah. So these are the ones that specifically deal with mental health. We need more of them people coming out, or we don't need them coming out at all. We would like the police, that is. We would like the mental health van to come out. If those are the things that are coming up from when we're doing listening tours and trying to figure out what the community needs to feel safer and to be more connected, like that's what I want to be able to provide. I know now the policy will come in that as well, right? Because let's say again, mental health, which is a big challenge, is the biggest challenge. And we get to say, no, in writing, we don't want an officer to respond to this call in this way. And if they come, they can't have a gun on their waist because it's a mental health issue. They got to come with a taser. They got to leave, however it is. But and then that helps the community. That's what I want to be able to. That's what success looks like. The community said, this is how we can be have better public safety, and this is what we were able to enact with this particular council.
Jen, what was your question?
So Delina pointed out something that was really profound to me, right? She said that like when she gets into a situation, she was like, you know, she wants to be able to call the police. Mm-hmm. But I still don't understand why in America we haven't switched over to the European version of policing, right? They separated their police out. Right, they have a SWAT team that handles actual violent crimes, right, and like gun violent crimes, and then they have what we like to call right now, and I think Lansing's starting to do this too. It's called community service officers, right? And so most of their officers are just community service officers, right? They're not the SWAT team, the violent team that comes in to clean it up. We have to start looking at other ways of policing, because if you look at how the police started originally, right, and this is why I'm against the police in so many ways. Is they started off, and I'm not even talking about it in America, I'm talking about in ancient Rome, right, where the police actually came from. Even then, they were slave catchers. That's what their job was just to catch the slaves, to bring them back to the master's houses, even in ancient Rome times. So if you look at that and you take that, and we brought it here to America to do the same exact thing, and that's what the police have been doing even now, is to catch the Black people and make sure that they, quote unquote, don't mess stuff up for master. And so for me, it's just like the Europeans changed it though, right? So if you go to like Italy and stuff like that, they don't have police walking around with guns on.
Nope.
They have tasers and that's it. So why haven't America switched to that process of saying, okay, listen, we're not going to respond to all this? Because I think if we start just lowering the tone down just a little bit, I think some of the other tones from the other side comes down a little bit.
Yeah.
Everybody's just heightened up and everybody's like, let's just shoot. And I'm like, why?
Well,
most people don't need a response from a police officer.
I think that's so loaded because America still hasn't faced this real racist past. You know what I mean? Like, exactly. Which is still present today. And the reason why we have police brutality, mistreatment in the community is because it's rooted in the systemic practices of racism, you know, and once America, we can have a true conversation and give us reparations, by the way. Once we can have that real conversation, then we can start to really see policing change and probably tamp down on some of the violence, because with that reparations, that economic empowerment comes the ability for people to make their way away from the circumstance that they have that makes them want to combat one another for the little scraps that we're given. Because that's what I truly believe is the reason why we are driven by so much violence in our communities. We're fighting over that little bit of scrap that is remaining.
And it seems like the only community that's talking about reparations is Evanston. And,
that's it.
Evanston, Evanston is leading the way in a lot of ways. Keep an eye on them.
But then
I mean, California's leading the way too, right?
Hold on, Jen.
California's-
Hold on. What'd you think? I'm sorry.
Mr. Adams, when you think about the reparation, like it's all policy. Will it be like how they reconstructed the housing, the public housing policy? Whereas if I moved in and my daughter had a criminal background, she's not eligible to move in, but she's a minor. You know, policy's everything. And if you don't know policy, it goes back to the education. Who's going to be writing the policy for this new?
And that's my question. And that's, Charlena, that's exactly it. Because what I learned by dealing with COPA, just learning, it really isn't laws. There are policies that are really disastrous to many communities. And I think that once we start understanding some of these policies, and those who are influencing a lot of these lobbyists and all these people that have something to gain are writing policies that police officers and police departments are following, and vice versa. I think we got to start exercising and looking at some of these policies. And hopefully, DeAndre, at some particular point when this job actually gets a description, that would be something that you would be taking a look at. Hey, DeAndre, before we go, because it's almost 8 o'clock, and again, thank you guys, all you out there who are on YouTube and Facebook. I'm trying to, if I hear DeAndre answer the questions or we talked about it, I just didn't ask it again, okay? Are there other people, the last question I got, is there anyone else running against you? I mean, or for that seat? Is it only 3? You said there's only 3 seats available. Is it only 3 people running?
Yeah, you know what? There are 7 people running. I never took it as somebody running against me. So you did, change it at the end. Because this is a community-based seat, you know what I mean? So this is legit. Whoever the community feels is best suited to sit and be a voice for them will be there. There's 7 of us. 4 of us are being challenged, though. I'm not being challenged. I'm a candidate. But there are 4 other people that are being challenged. I believe one may have had that challenge rescinded today. So, and I think the other 3, to be honest, I really can't see them making past the challenge, to be honest, but you never know. So I really think it's going to be anywhere from 4 to 5 of us that'll end up being able to be elected. I have decided to go with Karen Arewa Winters. She's somebody who's been in the fight a long time, that has been dealing with consent decree and helped to write the no foot chase policy, and was just an amazing woman that has been in this struggle, who's lost a nephew to violence at the hands of Chicago police. And so her and I have already decided we're gonna be slate mates. So it's really like we need to find a 3rd person that want to sit with us. And so we still figuring that part out.
Make sure they know how to write policy too. We don't just need to understand the old policy. We need to write new policy.
I agree. Now, Zarlena, I wish I could hold your hand right there, because again, people do not understand that policy is what's driving many of these initiatives. And those policies are written by people that don't always have our best interests at heart. Again, hey guys, before we go, it is 8:02. This week, I dress up as Santa on Christmas Eve. We're going to be giving out toys. So if you wanted to donate a toy to have some fun, I stand on the corner. People, it's going to be cold this year, but I'm going to be standing on the corner handing out toys on Christmas Eve. So
wait, Adam, you're not going to be by yourself though.
Well, I know, Jim, but you typically are in your warm car. But in any event,
you know what? Don't do me. Look, and then he gonna be like, "Jen, come take the picture. Jen, come take the picture."
Can I do my public service announcement? Okay, I will be out there passing out toys with Jen, and out there and spread some Christmas cheer. I'll be in my Santa Claus, so the Black Santa will be coming to the ghetto, and I will be.
Ghettos are for Jews.
I don't say that J word, okay? I don't have the type of money Kanye has. But in any event, all I'm saying is I will be out there and I could use your support, guys. I'm not a rich man, but I do this every year. So if you'd like to donate a toy, wrap it in blue or red to make whatever, Jen. I want.
Listen, y'all. We stand out there in the cold.
I ain't looking for no
twice a year. We
unisex
only
toys
doing it
unless
once
they're
a
all
year.
unisex.
Where?
We in Glenwood. He's on the Glenwood. What street is that? You on Glenwood?
I'm gonna be on Main Street and Main and State in the village of Glenwood. So Main and State across from Gabe's restaurant. That's where we'll be setting up, waving from 11 until about 2. If you're gonna donate a toy or you want to drop a toy off, you can drop a toy off or donate a toy or donate cash. I don't care. Jen will go get some toys at 310 North Illinois in Glenwood. That's where you can drop off the toy on the porch. I ain't even got to be there. You can just drop it off. I ain't nobody goes, I got one of the ring doorbell things. So interested to look at it. In any event, Merry Christmas, guys. We will be doing, DeAndre, it'd be nice to have you come on there. I love brothers with a doctorate degree. But I am doing a
Man, I got something to say, man, for real. I want to talk, dude. I like this.
Hey, listen, I'm going to be doing a year in review. And I'm talking to the black man, okay? Because, yeah, we got some work to do, right, Jan, about these black men. And it would be
we do.
some strong black men. I'm not, hey, listen, it's not an anti-woman platform here. This ain't but I do need.
We need more brothers in action, though. Come on now.
That's what I need.
Like, real talk.
DeAndre, I added you on Facebook so we can connect because I want to talk to you too. So yeah, let's connect. Let's talk about some stuff.
I appreciate your brutal honesty, because I think that until we start having more people that are engaged, knowledgeable, willing to challenge some of the current structures and the way we do things, that's what this platform is actually for. Listen, you're not going to make any friends trying to be friendly. Sometimes you're going to have to push that out. Right. And I think that when more of us get that courage, we will have those type of communities that we see. But it's going to take somebody to get out there and start fanning that flame. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. But Merry Christmas, guys. Merry Christmas.
Before you hang up, can I?
I'm not hanging up, DeAndre, because you gotta take me out of here. But Christmas is Sunday. We got snow on Thursday. Don't bug me with that snow on Wednesday, okay? If you didn't sign up for the seasonal pass.
On the real.
DeAndre, take us home.
All right. Hey, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in tonight. Appreciate you, Adam, Zerlina from the West Side. And what's your name again, young lady? Let me see. Jenny.
It's Jenny.
Thank you all.
Jenny from the block. Jenny from the block.
Man, even before I got in, it was a rousing conversation just listening. And I love having people around me with different perspectives. Again, I believe all about growing, and that's how you continue to learn. Yes. For me, again, I'm running for district council with a 15th district. This is 3 seats that are open to community members. So all I ask is that people choose the best community members that they feel represents them and their voice. If you want to learn more about the campaign, you can type in my name at www.deondrerutes.com.
Put it in the chat, DeAndre. Make sure you put that in the chat.
Oh, okay, bet. I will. So it's basically DeAndreRudis.com/DC15, and you can learn more about myself, the district councils, and everything in between. And again, just thank you all for listening and for giving me some awesome questions to answer. Again, I don't have all of the answers, but I am here to serve the community, and that's what I want to do. So
DeAndre, I hope you stay in touch, okay? Because I do think that you are only as strong as your network. And personally, my personal feelings is people like Zarlina, myself, even Jen, you may not know us from Adam. Partner, no, my name is Adam. I think that a lot of us have so much to offer if you tap into that, right? I always that I am a well of knowledge, but it's up to you. I can only do so much. I'm not gonna chase you down to try to help you. Right. Do think that if we work together, we can get some of these things done. We got to get out of our individual silos. We got to get uncomfortable, DeAndre. Okay, yeah. We get uncomfortable so that we can make certain that we have a future generation for all in neighborhoods that we all can be we can all appreciate and love and respect and yada yada yada. Don't be a stranger, DeAndre. We're here every Monday at 7 p.m. You're always welcome. Arlena, you know you are. always welcome. And you can reach me on Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever. I'm pretty certain that you can find Adam Winston in the village of Glenwood. So again, Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy holidays. I say Merry Christmas, guys. I'm not going to be shamed by saying Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. If that offends you, I'm sorry about it, but I ain't sorry. Sorry, but not sorry. But whatever you celebrate, please have a safe and happy holiday. Go Detroit Lions. We are going to the Super Bowl.
And you running in Chicago. Lord Jesus.
The fact, and I'm going to leave out here because I'm not going to debate this, DeAndre. I'm not going to debate this. Your running back, your quarterback / running back had 1,000 yards and you celebrating it? What in
we celebrating it?
They celebrated the quarterback. I'm calling him a running back. Okay. He's not a quarterback. He had 1,000 yards. 1,000 yards, and we're celebrating this.
You in Chicago running for office.
He's a running back. He's a running back, guys.
I'm talking.
Jen, he's a running back, but the Lions.
I know, but you know, like all of Chicago, like bear down no matter what, right?
Whatever. We're going to the Super Bowl. Here comes my son. He's talking about his running back / quarterback. Merry Christmas, guys. Good night.